Hello, YouTube. We are live from lockdown. I can see we've got a few people in already. We've got Retro Bear, Cyber Snake 7, Planet Retro, Pixel Plug, Gamer World Gez. That just going to be your name for today, or are you going to change it again come tomorrow? I want to say thank you to everyone who's been really supporting the stream. We've peaked on the last couple at 40, man, and that's much more than I ever expected when I first started this, which was started without any plan, really. I just winged it. Evening Horatio. So thank you for everyone who's supported my stream. What I want to say is, please check out all the guys who've been on the stream so far. Their links are all in all the descriptions. Check out their channels because some of them have started churning out some content again, which is great. I know Shock16's done a video today. Obviously, Planet Retro's always doing videos, and he's not been on yet, but he may be in the future. And Rob Gernaldinho has done some videos. And also, there's the Discord that we've set up. I'll put the banner up in a bit to link to the Discord once I've introduced my guest. So, I've babbled on a lot longer than I normally do, so I'll bring in my first guest. Say hello to Paul, Mr. Bads. Introduce yourself, Paul.
Hello, gentlemen. My name's Mr. Bads, also known as Paul, or the other way around. Yeah, I've been on YouTube now for about 3 years. I predominantly do videos relating to my collection or anything ocean software related. And yeah, a few competition videos here and there, and just general indulgence videos because I like listening to the old chip tunes. And I do like I said, my ocean software videos.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot all about your competition videos. Has it been a while since you've done one, Paul?
Probably a couple of months.
Has it?
I've done it for about 3 years, I think, and then every now and then I kind of like have a couple of months break. But yeah, I've done that deliberately to get people kind of involved in what I do on the channel, really.
I mean, you have some great content. I like watching your when you're trying to play games and get very frustrated with them quite often.
Yeah, I tried to tone that down a little bit, mate, because I did do Lucky Dime Cape on the Master System, and God, I was shit at that game. I think I got into about 3 streams into it. I could have smashed the shit out of it, to be honest with you. But yeah, I haven't done any spotlight videos for quite a while. But yeah, I do enjoy doing them, but they don't really get as many views as I would like, I suppose.
As long as you enjoy doing them, mate, view numbers don't really matter. As long as you're having fun doing it, definitely do it. So, yeah. Without further ado, to quote Big Mike, I'll introduce my second guest. That's Chris Novabug. Say hello.
Hello, Novabug here on Dainster's channel. How you doing, everyone?
I'm good, mate, and it's great to have you on, as well as Paul, man. I got you two guys on together because you're both from the same neck of the woods, and I know you know each other quite well, so I thought hopefully there's some good chemistry there.
West Country bumpkins, the pair of us.
Yeah, you're not native, though, are you? You're not natives.
No, not natives. No, we're immigrants, but we are proudly proudly embraced by the Cornish community.
Well, they love to call us Emmett, don't they, Chris?
They do, yeah.
Is it kind of fly shit or something, isn't it? They call us fly shit or something. I'm sure that's what Emmett's means.
One of them. Oh, you're not from round here. I mean, shit, that's straight out of a sitcom. Yeah. I'm Novabug, by the way. Yeah, I do Amstrad stuff, a lot of it, anyway. But I do other stuff as well. I do reviews on the Spectrum, reviews on the Commodore, the Amiga, the Atari ST. I do top 11 videos. I do little waffle chats and occasional pickups, but not a lot. I don't really focus on that a lot. But mostly nowadays it's to do with the live streaming that I do and the Amstrad Live game testing. That seems to be the show on everyone's proverbial lips.
I'll agree to that. You know, myself, I like to join in with the Amstrad testing because it brings back so many memories myself. Like, you know, that Russian roulette of when you put in a game in the machine, is it going to load? And obviously that's only increased over the years.
It is a random event, especially when you get some of these tapes. They're coming up to 35, 36 years old, some of these tapes. And you think, there's no way they should work. They should not work on magnetic media printed on an old below ferric cassette. There's no way. And then they do, and they surprise you. So,
but to be fair, they hardly loaded bloody 40 years ago, did they? 35, 40 years ago.
Depends.
I used to literally like pray the game would load. I'd leave the room and have a little ritual that hopefully when I came back from having my dinner, the game would be loaded. And you push the frigging button and the game would frigging crash.
You need like a lucky charm. Yeah, wear your lucky underpants or something when they're loading. Oh, we might get a game of Dizzy tonight. You never know. You know.
Yeah.
Or do what you do in some of your gifts, Chris. Just kiss the machine on the way out.
That was that GIF is right. Okay, that essentially what that was because I did that many. I mean, I've been on YouTube now for 7 years. I think I started in October 2013, and that I did that video probably about 18 months, 2 years after I started. And I thought, well, I want to make this a focus on the Amstrad channel on it. So obviously I need to get Amstrad hardware. Now, all my original Amstrad hardware was long gone. My father sold it when I'd left home, and I'd never saw it again. So I thought, well, I've got to start rebuilding what I had back before. So that Amstrad I'm licking was the first mint condition 464 that I picked up. So I was excited on stream, and therefore, hey, give it a lick. That'll be funny, and it was in the end, I guess.
Oh, definitely is still funny. So, what I like to start with is just talking how lockdown has changed everything for you guys. Now, I know you're both still working, but just what the feel is like locally and stuff. So, Paul, if you want to go first.
Yeah, I tell you, there are some benefits to lockdown. Obviously, I'm still working. I work in food retail, so it's been manic. It's kind of settled down a little bit now. Well, driving to work is quite bliss because there's not a single bloody car on the road. But actually working in the sort of store, it's strange because no one wants to come anywhere near you. What you got to do is cough and people run a mile. So yeah, it's quite peculiar, really. You got to be quite careful what you do. But yeah, it's really strange working wise. It's very surreal on the street because there's literally no store there apart from a couple of policemen.
I've got a story actually. I went to the shop just to pick up milk, your essential little bits, little local corner shop. Yeah. I went in and there was a woman in there and she was in the queue and she was absolutely petrified to be near anyone.
Yeah.
And all she was doing was going to the counter to change her scratch card for 20 quid, which she didn't go and then spend on shopping. Yeah. She just wanted 20 quid off a scratch card. I was like, you're scared to be around everyone, but yet you've gone out the house to cash in your scratch card.
May as well motivate people, isn't it?
So how about you, Chris? What's the feeling like around you? I know you're still working as well.
Yeah, I'm working hardware, so they didn't shut down as such when things. Yeah, to be honest, I don't really feel it's changed a lot for me. The biggest thing that's changed for me essentially is the kids are still in the house. So because I've got 3 children, so that's a bit of a headache. God love them, obviously, but it's you kind of get home from work and immediately it's bang in you. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, I just want to sit down and chill. I was homeschooling them today, for instance, and sometimes doing that it's lovely to do it. On the other hand,
if we can talk about your latest video, actually, wasn't it a marble race in the garden? If I'm correct,
that was sort of inspired by the lockdown, I guess. It's a bit strange for me calling it a lockdown because it's just not. I'm not a big go out person anyway locally. I mean, I occasionally I'll go out with mates and stuff, but normally when I go out and stuff, it'll be like going up country for a big event or meeting family or whatever. Obviously, I'm not doing that at the moment. So it's not much of a change aside from the kids, and that was on Easter Sunday. So they were messing around with my son's connecting magic track things, and I said, wouldn't it be a good idea to put the marbles in that? And then I thought, oh, our garden slopes, we could put it at the top of the garden and make a marble run, and they loved it. They loved that idea. So yeah, I was hit dad of the day that day.
Well, I saw the big difference, Dana, as well, mate. The missus is home working, hence the lack of videos. Everywhere I go, she's there. Bloody hell! So yeah, I look at a minute's break. I'm going from work to relax, and
I'm the same. I'm the same, Paul. I can't get a minute's sort of like 10 minutes to do a voiceover or do a script or something because I've got in the ear all the time. It's like
that's the biggest change, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but my missus is working from home as well, and obviously her lad had finished school this year anyway. He was 16. He was going to be doing his GCSEs. They're not doing that. And the only biggest difference he's got is I'm borrowing his FIFA 19 game so I can play with Gashead. So I'll just walk past his room and he's already taking it out of his PS4 to pass for me. I've had to order my own copy now, so I feel a little bit bad about that. But Mrs. is working. I'm not. There's a running gag on the stream about me not cutting the garden. I have cut the garden today because it was even getting on my nerves. So I've gone out and done that. So I've got no more jobs now for another couple of weeks until that needs cutting again.
I installed 2 drains in my garden yesterday. So there you go.
Trying to avoid mine. Christ. Worse than gardening, is there? Christ.
There's rumours I might paint the wall that I rendered 5 years ago, but it may not happen. The reason that's not been done right is because the paint that I bought to render the wall with, last year I was getting some football stuff when I used to coach the team out of the shed, and the tin of paint fell all over my black tracksuit. So that tin of paint got through up my back garden, just packed up, and I was like, I'm not fucking painting that wall now, it'll have to wait now. Ruined all my tracksuit and everything, so...
Bloody hell. That ain't good, man. So if they're wanting for us to do work, though, is outrageous, isn't it? How dare they? Christ.
I know.
Shocking.
I mean, I patched the holes in the ceiling blooming 3 years ago. I don't need to rub them down yet.
No, they ain't falling out yet, have they?
That plaster might still be damp.
Put some waterproof on it at least, ain't it?
You know what it is? I think it's because I work in the trade. I don't want to do it when I get home.
Yeah, that's like me shopping, mate. When I finish work, there's no way on earth am I doing that.
Yeah,
it makes sense to do it because it saves that this is a trip out, but I ain't doing it, mate. No way.
I don't know. So the first thing I like to talk about as well with the guests, other than lockdown, because we like to get onto gaming as quick as possible, is your history in gaming, when you first got into gaming, and like all the systems you have up until where you are now. If we start with Paul, and then Chris can go.
Christ, how long's this stream? Bloody hell! Now, I'm trying to think.
You picked up your first system straight off Noah's Ark, didn't you?
I did, mate. Yeah, it was made from wood from Noah's Ark, mate. The old Atari. Christ, yeah. This is quite funny because I always thought I got this machine with my old dear in 1981. So I phoned her up recently. I said to her, Mum, do you remember when we got the Atari? She went, no. I said, your dad brought it home from work. And I thought, what? So for like 20, 30 years, I always thought of a particular time I got the Atari. But yeah, so we got an Atari. I remember my dad being absolutely addicted to Miss Pac-Man. He would not leave the room. So I couldn't get a game on it at all. But it's the only time he was ever addicted to a video game was Miss Pac-Man. But he played it for flipping hours. So I used to play Miss Pac-Man, Kangaroo, maybe? Vanguard, which all came out around 1982. So I guess that's the first time I actually played on an Atari. And I was one of those kids that never kind of left my mates' houses when they had computers. I didn't have one of my own. So I probably used to piss myself off because I used to want to stay there and play games as much as possible. It was about 4 years before I got my first Spectrum, ZX Spectrum 48K, which I absolutely hounded my parents for. And I remember asking my mum, have I got one for Christmas? And she lied and said no. And I was absolutely devastated. I think I was in tears for the entire day. When I finally got a Spectrum on Christmas, I think it was 1986, I was so exhausted by not sleeping that night, I couldn't play it for the whole of Christmas Day. So I was absolutely flipping ill. But in between sort of getting my Spectrum, getting the Atari, I played a lot on the Commodore 64. A good friend of mine had an Atari Vader, sort of the black one, played loads of old games on that. Best mate in school had a Commodore 16. There's only one guy I ever knew had an Amstrad. Nobody had a Nintendo, so I had no association with Nintendo whatsoever. Had the Spectrum probably for about 3 years. Got Atari ST, first 16-bit machine, which I absolutely loved. First machine I think I worked the entire summer during my school sort of final year to save up for. Get a cracking little machine. Then I got a Mega Drive. Again, the funny thing about the Mega Drive, couldn't afford the bloody games. They're about 50 quid a game back then. So I used to borrow my friend's games for that, and he had a Japanese Mega Drive. When I had the ST, I always wanted an Amiga, so I finally got an Amiga in about 1992. Bought a 600, bought a 1200, 93. If you can remember sort of gaming from that era, 94, 95, up until the PlayStation, it was crap. I've got to be honest with you. Everything that I remembered and loved kind of absolutely died off. All the old 8-bit and 16-bit sort of generation, great British software houses, they all kind of died. And for about a year, I was kind of lost. And that's when I got into retro games. And then 95, clearly the PlayStation 1, which is absolutely fantastic machine. Probably the last machine I ever truly loved, to be honest. 97 bought a PC, so I kind of remained with the PC for about 20 years, but at the same time bought consoles like the PS2, PS3, PS4. The only Nintendo I ever owned was a GameCube, and I bought an Xbox, which they call the OG nowadays, but I stick with Xbox. So yeah, it's quite an extensive period, mate. Always love playing on computers though, other than consoles.
See, I'm always the opposite. I think, although I love the Amstrad, I think it's because my brother used to make me play on the keyboard rather than even though it was mine. If we played a 2-player game, I had to play on the keyboard, and he had the joystick.
You're the younger brother, yeah?
Yeah, I'm 13 years younger.
That's my younger brother, mate. You play the keyboard, sunshine. I've got the joystick.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
And
I could never get my head around it. So, like, I never got into an Amiga anyway. My parents never bought one of them. But like getting into PC gaming, when I saw that keyboard and a computer, I'm like, that's not for gaming, man. I need a joystick in my hand or a joypad.
You're mate, yeah.
I could never get used to the key control. I love that the Amstrad with so much passion, and it. Other than when the PS1 come out, was like my dad used to play video games with me on the Amstrad, and he'd never played with anything else up until we got PlayStation 1, and that's purely because I got Monopoly on it, and my old man loves playing Monopoly. But the Amstrad, he used to play a fair few games. Like, Sam Fox Strip Poker was one of them.
Completion.
It's the only game I've known him put hours into is Sam Fox Strip Poker.
I wonder why.
It's a funny story. I'm going to get this photo down now because this has been asked about me before. And it's a photo of me and my dad when I'm little. And it's at Blackpool with a cardboard cutout of Sam Fox. You know, like back in the 80s when they used to have. And my old man convinced my mum that I had an obsession with Page 3 girls when I was little.
I was going to say, I don't remember her being that flat-chested.
No.
But the thing is, right, you know, like how normal parents do, like scrapbooks of, like, you know, childhood memories and that. I had a scrapbook of Page 3 models that my old man used to cut out for me and put in a scrapbook because he told my mum I was obsessed with Sam Fox. And I'm sure it was fucking him. I'm telling you that now. That's
Blame it on the kid, he says. Yeah. Blame it on the kid.
Oh, brilliant.
That's like literally the oldest photo I have of me and my dad, and that's why it's in the room, man. Like my dad's still alive, but it's just a funny memory I have with him. So that's why it's always up there hanging up.
That's nice,
so, Chris, obviously, I'm actually I don't know your gaming history. I'm guessing it was Amstrad to start with. So I may be surprised. So if we could have your gaming history, that would be great.
Yes, no, you're right. It actually started with a arcade cabinet. And that said arcade cabinet was Kung Fu Master. That was the first video game I ever played in 1985, I want to say. My old man used to run a pub, and he got a couple of arcade cabinets in. He sort of kit the place out with a bit of technology. And one of the first games he got, apart from the tabletop Space Invaders, which funnily enough I didn't play straight away. The first one I went to was this upright cabinet, and it was because I saw the martial arts going on, Kung Fu. Oh, this looks amazing, and I loved it. I actually fell in love with it, and I learned to master Kung Fu Master because we had like free credits, of course. So that was my only gaming that I had, the only access I had. Now, years later, we moved to London. And mates of mine, I remember mates of mine had an Atari. A mate of mine had a Commodore Plus 4 or C16. I can't remember whether it was a Plus 4 or C16, but I remember playing Arthur Noyd on it. And I thought, I want a game. I want something to play games on. And then 1987, late 1987, someone he ticks around. He walks in one day with one of these, with its monitor and a bag of games, all loose. Of course, and I tell people this story, but people say, no, you're just saying that because that's the game. The first game I loaded was Bridget. It was Bridget. And it's gone down in Amstrad folklore now as being one of the most terrible games on the platform. But it's just like you look at it and think, okay, I'll have a go at that then. And then I think the second one was Manic Miner, which is a far superior game, of course. So I had the Amstrad for many, many years after this, and of course I had the usual sort of schoolyard spats, Spectrum. I never knew, people say they never knew anybody with an Amstrad. I never knew anybody with a C64, which was weird because the area I used to live in, I had a couple of people that had a C16 or Plus 4, and I can't remember which one it was. A couple of people had Ataris, including the Atari 8-bit. Even I think a friend had a BBC as well. And Spectrums. No one had, I don't know anybody that had a C64. And come across a C64 until later on, like in the 90s. But by that point, this was getting out of date. So the fabled GX4000 came along, and I sort of like said to myself, that this Nintendo thing looks nice. It's a bit old now. A mate of mine had a Master System, and I thought that was quite cool. I didn't know the Mega Drive was coming around the corner at the time, but I loved Amstrads, and of course, and then Amstrad said they're doing a console, and it looks like this, and I thought, oh, you got to admit, it looks bloody good. So I want that, and my dad bought that for me, Christmas 1990, and that's all she wrote. It's on that one. I had 4 original games for it from my original stash, and then of course the system disappeared and it went out of production, and that was that. I then sort of like was hankering after what am I going to do now, because Amstrad's, this thing's now old hat. We couldn't afford an Amiga or anything, but along comes 1992, and I got my second love, which is my Super Nintendo. And that is my original Super Nintendo that was bought for me in 1992. As you can see how yellow it is.
I'm actually currently retro brighting a couple of Nintendos in similar colours.
I want to retro bright that. But it's still fully working. It's never ever put a foot wrong. Touch wood. It's never put a foot wrong, that machine. And he bought me Street Fighter 2 as well, which was £65, as So I had because the only other gaming I'd had apart from the Amstrad and the GX4000, which I had at home, was obviously the local arcades. And obviously I've grown up with those, Black Tiger, Shinobi, R-Type, all the classics, and Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat, and then Street Fighter 2 at home. Oh, that was awesome. To play Street Fighter 2 almost arcade perfect at home was just mind-blowing. So with the Super Nintendo for the next 4 or 5 years, then I just went over to the PlayStation 1. I got myself a PlayStation 1. Obviously then got into a whole new branch of gaming with the PlayStation 1. Fell in love with Gran Turismo, particularly Gran Turismo 2, which is too high. I still state to this day, Gran Turismo 2 is one of the most greatest racing games ever made. It's just so good. The course design, the design of the interface, the graphics. Yeah, they might look dated now, but it just brings so much joy playing that game, Gran Turismo 2. And then going to the end of the decade, I started to fall out with gaming up until the PlayStation 2. Got the PlayStation 2, had 2 or 3 years of absolute joy with the PlayStation 2. What a machine. What a machine. Soul Reaver 2, for instance, Tekken Tag, was it? Wipeout Fusion. Endless amounts of fun on so many PlayStation 2 games. Come around about 2003, 2004, I just dropped off the scale. I just went, I'm not really interested in gaming anymore. So everything just started sitting in corners, gathering dust. I never was interested in the next generation. I never got a PlayStation, never got a single Xbox, either the 360 or the original. I didn't really know what was going on in the gaming sphere. I knew the Wii was doing the rounds because it was bloody everywhere and shoved in your face, but we never had one. And I think it was, I want to say around about 2008, 2009, when I picked up a Wii controller, and that was the first time I'd gamed in years, absolute years. And then a few years went on. I thought, you know what? I really used to bloody love gaming. Why the hell did I give it up for so many years? And I've missed an entire generation. I've missed the PlayStation 3. I've missed the Xbox 360. I just, what have I done? So I started digging out my old consoles. I still had them. I never got rid of them. And the SNES I still had. The Amstrad had long gone by that point, but I still had the GX4000. So I dug them out and I started playing them. I thought, yeah, you know what? I want to get back into gaming. So I got myself a Wii. And then I dug out the PlayStation 2, and I realised that at that point they were still making games for the PlayStation 2. I couldn't believe it. And eventually just got back into gaming gradually, started the YouTube channel in 2013. And since then, I've acquired all these consoles and systems and stuff that I'd probably always dreamed of wanting to have and try out, but never did. And now I have. And Paul was listing off a whole host of machines a minute ago. I've got an ST and Amiga sitting right next to me here, and a Commodore 64C, and an Atari Vader. It's right there. Got an N64 down there. I've got a Mega Drive and a Mega Drive 2 over there. So, you know, now I'm surrounded by the bastards. And I've got 4 of those.
They've all got names, haven't they, mate?
They've all got names. This is Chewy. This is my toolkey. This is an original. This is an original release. This has got a 1983 board in it, 1984 release, Model A toolkey, really clanky toolkeys. This is the one that I've dubbed as Chewy, which is currently out of commission because I need a new reed head for it. So
I didn't realise there were different depths of keyboard on them either.
Yeah, about 4 different revisions, slight modifications over the years.
So your gaming life sounds very similar to mine, Chris. Obviously, I had the Amstrad. We did have a Master System. I had the Super Nintendo. I had the purple box one with Street Fighter 2. So that may be the similar addition to what you had. But talking about
the Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Oh, you got the Turbo, yeah?
That was I had the gold original. And hang on a minute, let's see if I've got it here. 'Cause I've got a bunch of them down here. Yeah, I know what one you mean though. Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
I had that, but like as you were talking about games for that, I remember one birthday, my parents going to WH Smith's to buy me a copy of Power Rangers because, like, obviously I was into Power Rangers then, and I'm pretty sure it was $59.99 new for a game, even back then. But if you probably worked out what that is with inflation, you're probably looking close to £100 a game nowadays with the inflation.
I'm sure the original price tag for Street Fighter, it's because it was a 16 meg cartridge. I think that's the reason why they justified the price of being so expensive. Yeah, it works out to about £120 nowadays or something like that. It's mad.
And we moan at £40 a game nowadays on a current gen. So
it could be a lot worse. 1990, Christ, £50 a game.
Oh well, on the other hand, you could have been
the average wage, I think, for a week back then.
Well, yeah, exactly. But you could have been a Neo Geo collector and you were paying like £200 for a cartridge then.
Well, yeah, that's cheap compared to nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah.
Christ.
And also talking about Gran Turismo 2, I spent hours playing that, doing the endurance races, stuff like that. But that was the first driving game to me that actually made it feel like you were accomplishing something, where you were unlocking cars, unlocking tracks. You had your driving licenses that you had to do. Yeah. And in fact, earlier this week, I went back and played the original Formula 1 on the PS1, the very first one. Yeah. Now, graphically, it's shit compared to what we've got now. But if you actually play the game and the mechanics, the driving feels brilliant. The braking feels very responsive. And I'm pretty much sure I'd feel the same if I put Gran Turismo in. Like, because each car had, when you upgraded it, you felt the upgrade on the car, the little bits of handling, taking milliseconds.
I always thought Gran Turismo 2, for when it came out, I thought the graphics were so high end even at the time, because if you compare it to another racing game which came out in a similar times, so Ridge Racer Type 4, which is also a cracking game, but graphically, Gran Turismo 2 is leaps and bounds ahead of Ridge Racer Type 4. It is.
By more, I played Ridge Racer Type 4 the other day.
It's a good game, but graphically it's aged badly, you know? And then you compare it to Gran Turismo 2 and you think, shit, Gran Turismo 2 was so it was almost like a couple of years ahead of it when it should have been released. It was that good. It was a bit like Wipeout. Wipeout was like that when Wipeout came out. It's like you wouldn't expect a game looking that good, especially Wipeout 2097 and Wipeout 3. That's running that smooth and that good to come out in that era. You'd think that would be a couple of years later. Amazing.
Nothing really touched Gran Turismo 2 on the whole PlayStation 1 era, did it? Even I remember getting Gran Turismo on the PlayStation 2 and I was disappointed with it because it wasn't as good as Gran Turismo 2.
Yeah, Gran Turismo 3A spec.
Yeah.
Me too. I actually went into, I can't remember what shop it was, but I remember bounding into a shop when Gran Turismo 3A spec came out and yes, this is going to be absolutely fantastic. And it was good, but I'm like, this ain't as good as Gran Turismo 2, which is on the previous system.
Yeah.
It's
I
irritating.
almost think they outdone themselves with Gran Turismo 2, and it took them at least another generation, like before they got to the PS3. And I play Gran Turismo Motorsport now on my PS4, and that's again another good game where you feel like you're achieving something. But I remember playing like weren't the endurance races like something like 100 and some of them.
Yeah, I think I spent about 4 hours playing an endurance race once, and that was probably about half of it.
Very long.
For hours they did. I think you could actually do it for 24 hours, if I remember rightly.
I think Le Mans was on there. I think you could do Le Mans 24 hours.
Yeah.
I think they had a real time clock.
But the annoying thing is you'd probably lapped everyone about 10 times, and there was no point in them last 60 laps you had to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It was one of those games though where it was like such an organic evolution from its original game, because Gran Turismo 1 sort of goes down in folklore as being a really good simulation of a racing game, which it was. But it's like 2 was like, this is such an organic flow into a massive upgrade and into a near perfect game. It really is. I can't flaunt it enough.
Someone says if you rub one of the discs on Gran Turismo 2, you're supposed to smell.
I'm going to try it out.
Well, I'm just looking because I think I might have it in reaching distance, but I don't really want to smell like a 25-year-old game, to be honest. Are we all looking for Gran Turismo 2 now?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got mine over there. Hang on a minute. We're going to smell it on air, are we?
Yeah, I'm going to see. I've got mine.
Hang on.
Woo! Right, pit lane.
Right, I've got my copy.
Which disc is it? This 2?
This 2?
I don't know. He doesn't. We all look like idiots now, just sniffing games on live.
Mate, I haven't opened this in years. Yeah, well, this 2 GT mode.
Oh, yours won't work. It's platinum.
Oh yeah, it will.
Mine doesn't smell. Mine just smells of plastic.
Mine smells of nothing really. It just smells of dust, but it's fine. Yeah. It's in perfect condition still.
It's a platinum version, mate.
Oh no, I know. My original version got damaged, so I had to replace it with a platinum version.
Someone's probably just having a good laugh right in the comments that three grown men are now sniffing discs, and we can see Novabug's arse.
Can't say I've ever sniffed a disc before, but yeah.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the disc sniffing channel.
You know what made me think like it might be a thing though, because around that time, didn't like scratch and sniff TV and that become kind of a thing that they brought in? Like I remember Comic Relief doing it the one year where you got a scratch and sniff book with fucking watching Comic Relief or something.
Yeah, probably.
It's also, I've just noticed, when I opened that up, I also noticed it's got that lovely fat instruction booklet, which you don't get anymore. I love having massive, great fat instruction booklets.
I'm going to throw it out there, right? We all moan that we don't get manuals or booklets anymore, but how many of us have ever actually read one?
I used to read them all the time. I love them.
I never do. Even if I was stuck, I would try and work it out myself before I went looking in that book. That must be the stubborn man in me.
The problem is now you got all the on-screen help, and they've got to build that into the games, so it takes ages to get a game started.
Oh, don't start me on that. See, I had this discussion. There's a game that everybody loves called The Last of Us. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad game, but I played that game for 40 minutes and the game had not finished holding my hand of telling me what to do and doing loads of cutscenes and telling me when to press this button and when to press that button. I'm like, let me find out for myself.
I think Zombie U and Zombie on the PlayStation 4, Zombie U on the Wii U are the same. It takes ages to sort of like shake off the help.
I played Last of Us. I think I completed it and went straight back and played it again. It was a cracking game.
I remember watching my brother complete it.
I just couldn't get into it. I don't like games holding my hand. It does piss me off. I want to just play it. You know what I mean? Let me make my own mistakes and learn myself. I'm not fan on cutscenes and too much story. And a lot of games now seem to be. I spend more time watching than I do playing, and that pisses me off as well.
I found out with Metal Gear Solid on the PS3, I think it was, or 2. It went on forever, didn't it? The cutscenes.
Yeah.
All the gameplay, about 10 hours of cutscenes or something.
all the Metal Gear Solids do that, though, don't they? All of them have massive cutscenes. But the original Metal Gear Solid was one of my favourite games on the PlayStation 1. That's an incredible experience when you've never seen anything like that before. That kind of game.
I skived 2 days off school when I bought that because I wanted to complete it before my mate. And my actual excuse to my mum, she goes, "You're not ill, are you?" And I went, "No." I said, "Mum, I've just spent like nearly 50 quid on this game." I said, "I need to complete it." And I had 2 days off school to complete it. Just sat at home.
Did Psycho Mantis freak you out?
Yeah, when you had to plug it into the other port.
Vibrate.
But how old would I have been then? I'd have been early secondary school then. But I remember I found, was it the bandana or something? I found that the first time round, which was pure luck.
Yeah.
There was like these extra bits, because wasn't the one where you could unlock a camera and you could take like pictures or something and stuff like that?
I worked out you could shoot the rats, and then the what's her face starts telling you off on the intercom. So what are you killing the rats for, Snake? Sort it out. You're pissing around. What are you doing? And so I know that
if you completed one bit in a certain time and got through the air vent quick enough, you could see that woman doing the sit-ups in the cell in her underwear or something.
Yeah, I've done that. I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that as well. It's amazing what you remember from your teen years when you really push your mind.
Yeah,
great games. I mean, funnily enough, you say that because there was that PlayStation era. That was also the era what you were talking about getting into PC games, Dane. And I got into a few PC games at the time of that era as well, because that was the sort of like the mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s was the boom of the internet cafe. So I used to go down to an internet cafe a lot, and we used to play like local sort of like local networking, original GTA, which is hilarious when you play that local co-op. Command and Conquer Red Alert, Quake and Quake 2, and amazing. It's such great fucking games they were.
See, I never got into PC gaming. Obviously, I think Paul said he did. So what sort of PC gaming do you play? Because it's a whole new world for me, like PC gaming is.
It's funny because when I got my PC, I think I wanted to carry on where I left off for the Amiga. So I picked up Monkey Island 3. I picked up a Flight Sim I absolutely loved on the Amiga, but I picked up a Sim for PC. I picked up Grand Theft Auto.
You ever play Let's Shoot Larry, Paul?
I never played any of that series, mate. No.
Oh man, that was crazy.
That was quite pervy, wasn't it? I remember the adverts being quite pervy.
Wouldn't be allowed.
I was curious, mate. I always remember a big adventure called Emmanuel, and I was always tempted to buy that. That was a bit naughty, but it wasn't until about last year that I picked that one up. And Stu mentioned, UK mentioned Fascination, which I thought, all right, I'll have a look at that, because again, it's quite pervy. Yeah,
I'll have a look at that. Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's a fucking old man here, right? But yeah, I bought a lot of games. I remember the Amiga. Yeah, I know. You should see some of the bloody FM Towns games I picked up. Oh my God. Can't put them on a video.
That's really, really good, that machine, though, isn't it?
It's a wonderful machine, mate, but some of these hentai games, friggin' hell.
Oh,
you
man.
don't need a flipping blue tablet for those fucking games, mate, dear. Christ.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It makes Custer's Revenge look like child's play.
Custer's Revenge. I actually looked at getting that as well for the Atari. Fuck, it's grim, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
I'm sure we had rude games, didn't we? We had, obviously, you mentioned strip poker, but How to Be a Complete Bastard. That's a dodgy one.
I've just recently picked that up, actually. I've not played that before.
Oh, it's ridiculously hard. Ridiculously hard. You can have a lot of fun with it, but you can't really complete it because you've got to light all the letters up at the bottom by making all the right traps in the right rooms. So it's a bit like Spy versus Spy, but it's just really bad taste and typical Adrian Edmondson back in the day.
Well, that's what I loved about the old micro stuff. I mean, some of it is like, you wouldn't get away with it now. I'm looking at a game called Alkioli. You would not get away with a game called Alkioli today. And there's literally a pisshead in the middle of the street. He looks rough as hell, man. I've got to do a spotlight on that one day, but there's so many games that. Yeah. What's the other one? Mrs. Wong's Laundry or something?
That's Mr. Wong's Loopy Laundry.
That's the one. Yeah. So many wild games you just would not get away with, would you?
Didn't Viz have their own game as well? It was a double play. Viz had their own game where
Buster Gonads. Yeah. to drag his sack across the flipping level.
You
Yeah,
got Viz the game. I got Viz the game on the Amstrad somewhere.
yeah, I got that. somewhere.
That would have been what I had it on as well. Like when I was probably not old enough to own it. But like even with the cover art, like Barbarian, was it Barbarian 2 where it had the X-Page 3 model on the front?
Linda
Ray
Lucille.
Whittaker.
Maria Whittaker and
She
Michael
was
Wick.
coming out.
Oh, Wolf from Gladiator, yeah. And there was a game called Vixen, which was just a woman in like a leopard print fucking thing.
There's a
Like,
game.
obviously-
There's a game I can't remember what it's called now on the Amstrad. The name escapes me, but the loading screen is literally of a woman with her boobs out. There's no cutting away from it. She's not wearing anything. She's just sitting on a rock and completely naked.
There's Vixen.
There's Vixen.
I remember having that on cassette, like normal small cassette. I had that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing all the games I remember had women on.
Vixen's like a Rastan clone kind of game.
It's fucking shit game, but yeah, it's got great poster. Yeah,
Nice.
it is shit. Oh, can you remember the advert for Psycho Pigs UXB with some bird just sprawled out across 2 pages?
Vaguely.
Remember it? It's like literally it's a white background and it's just some busty bird. And a guy, I can't remember what the quote was. It's quite a funny quote on it. You have to look it up.
Now. Everyone gets too offended by this sort of shit now, and we miss out on it all.
Exactly. It's boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is
Didn't
boring.
think any of it back in the day. It was just a laugh, and it still is. Really.
Well, exactly. As a sort of early teenager, you wouldn't have probably clocked what the hell they were advertising. But yeah, they got away with some bloody crap, didn't they?
Here's a game, right? Here's a game, and this is not to do with PC culture, I don't think. But here's a game that would not be released nowadays because of its subject matter. That game would not be released today because of its subject matter. You have got look on the back. Look at the screenshot on the back. There you go. There is the Confederate flag right there. And
that's what I like about the old stuff. It is that sort of quirkiness.
It's
really.
a block of gold. Look at that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I remember the spitting image game as well. Spitting image, how offensive did that used to be back in the day, but it was funny as hell.
Yeah, brilliant.
Spitting image. Oh, mate.
As you say, they everything's too serious now, and they're worried about who they offend. Just fucking make the game. If it's fun, it's fun. Just play it. Like everything used to have Nazis and the Nazi symbol in back in the day.
Yeah, that's it.
Wolfenstein, of course. Yeah.
I've not played a recent one, but I imagine they've had to change the emblem somehow to not offend people.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know.
There was a homebrew game that came out in the Amstrad a couple of years ago, and it was called World War II or something like that, Revenge of World War II or something like that. And you have to infiltrate the Nazi base and kill Hitler in his bed. That was the idea of the game. It was quite funny, and it was adorned with certain symbols, made it a bit dodgy. But the funniest thing about it, and this was like proper trolling. At the end of it, if you completed the game, and this was part of the original program, this wasn't a hack or anything. If you completed the game, you got an 8-bit image of Mandingo naked. Why?
Yeah, but people would spend hours just getting that particular screenshot, wouldn't they? Because it only be a still screen, no animation, nothing. It's like Sam Fox. It'd just be a black and white picture of Sam Fox. But tits out. Go and get a frigging newspaper. At least it's in colour.
With Sam Fox with poker, I remember my old man always getting pissed off if he lost a hand or something and she put something else back on. That's what used to happen. She'd get redressed and you used to get pissed off if that happened.
I had no idea how to play poker at all, mate. I just pushed any button hoping she'd take something off. Yeah.
Strip Poker 2 was one for that. You know what? I had a copy of Strip Poker 2, and one of the girls on it, it's like I've never managed to get her clothes off. Right? But the thing is, it gets past like the 4th time where she goes to take a bra off, and the fucking screen corrupted. And I went, oh no.
It's bad, isn't it? It is bad.
Oh dear.
That is a fascination. I do like old games like that. They just don't make them anymore.
Silly Steve did mention that's probably the last touchy thing I've saw in a game in Call of Duty. That's where you can choose whether to murder all the civilians in the airport. That's the last touchy thing I remember being in a game.
That went down in a bit of folklore, though, didn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's only
You could choose to skip that mission, though. That's for sure.
this.
And I
This
played that
censorship
one.
thing
Yeah,
is
I
only
played that.
quite recent, though, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's only been within the last 4 or 5 years, all this so-called censorship stuff, when people have got a bit touchy about
Yeah.
things. Hopefully, this sort of like goes away and like get back to having a bit of fun, you know, and chilling out a bit.
It would be interesting to see if Rockstar are going to do another Grand Theft Auto because, you know, so many hands are tied now.
I mean, they've done Red Dead, so
Yeah, but I think they can get away with Red Dead by saying it's time's gone by, like Cowboy Hero, whereas
might be the way forward, though, isn't it?
yeah, whereas Grand Theft Auto is very touching on the current state of the world and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's fair enough.
So my next question I usually ask my guests, and it's normally asked a long time before this, so we're having a great waffle. It's your YouTube journey. So I think we'll start with Paul, because I know Novabug is going to be a bit longer.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I mean, Christ. I mean, I always fancied doing a bit of YouTube as a bit of a bolt-on, really. I didn't watch YouTube for a long time, probably about 2014. I think I come across Ash Shakeman before you. I was very much into the GX4000, CD32.
Yeah.
And that's how I come across Chris. So I think I just searched for GX4000 games. So there weren't many people actually collected for that system. I remember seeing Chris's first video, I think, was talking about the GX4000. So one day I decided to make my own video. I think it took me at least about 30 takes to do a 5-minute video. I was that nervous. And the worst thing about doing that bloody video, all you've got to do is delete the fucking thing. But no, I didn't. I persevered with it and finally put it up. And that was actually a VR to one of Chris's Friday foursomes. I think there's the movie tie-ins, your favourite movie tie-in games, like Batman movie, RoboCop, Blade Runner.
Yeah, Friday Foursome 4 or something. Friday Foursome episode 4, I think that was. Something
An
like
early one, mate. So it'd be about just over 3 years ago that I did that. But seriously, I mean, I was so nervous doing it. Then I started doing my top 100 Amiga Power games. I mean, that was the first sort of videos I started doing, really. Only because there was nothing really like that. And a lot of the YouTube stuff that I wanted to do was stuff which was kind of self-indulgent, really. Like the old music, Sid Chip music or Amiga music, AOI chip music, Amiga Power Top 100. Then I started doing the old pickup videos because I wanted to do or show really what I did in terms of the collecting, which went down really well. I did the collecting videos as well, so I went through my entire collection from pretty much start to finish, which is something I want to do again going forward now, because it's been about 3 years since I did it. Then I thought, try and reach out to the community again. The sort of community thing was quite endearing. I always wanted to kind of get involved with that. I mean, I'm going to Blackpool, that was fantastic, but I wanted to kind of reach out to the YouTubers that I've been watching for a little while now. So I did the competition video. So yeah, I remember the first competition video I did had about 3 responses, and then the last one I did a little while ago had about 42 responses. So it does kind of reach out and does really well, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, a lot of it was to do with a bit of self-indulgence, a bit to do with my collecting and my hobby, the stuff I'm passionate about, but also about the community and the great people that are out there, including yourself, Dana, doing me a solid with the old RoboCop 3. But if you try and do the collecting on your own, it's a bit more difficult than it is doing with more people involved in what you're trying to do. So I get quite a few messages from different people letting me know about games that have appeared here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, so there's many different facets to why I collect and why I do YouTube. Sorry, nothing to do with being famous, nothing like that. If I ever stop enjoying it, I wouldn't do it anymore. It's all really linked to what I do in terms of collecting. That helps me along the way.
Yeah.
I must say, your channel, Paul, I always enjoy watching it because I never know what I'm going to see because, I mean, you pick up some really high-end stuff that you don't see on everyone's channel. You know, it's not the same stuff. It's really fascinating. And like your room, I know you call it an organised mess, but I just see stuff there in the background, like, you know.
that room, I can tell you from a third party, that room is incredible, and I've been had the pleasure to be in that room twice, and it's amazing. I am so jealous of that man, but there you go.
I won't ask what you got up to.
I'm gonna say, don't say anything, Chris.
No, it was none of that. None of that.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoy. I mean, I'm patriotic. I do like to collect British games for exactly the reasons we talked about earlier. It's so quirky. There's nowhere else in the world that produced games like we did. Yeah, most of them were shit, let's be fair. But what they were based on, the history behind it. I mean, if you look at something like Only Fools and Horses and think back to Ocean Software and how they started, it sounded like Del Boy and Rodney started that company up. And it's fantastic that it turned into one of the biggest software houses in the world. If it wasn't for the fact the two Japanese giants, Sega and Nintendo, screwed British publishers over because they wanted them to buy loads and loads of carts up front, these companies couldn't afford it, and then they disappeared. So I'm very patriotic when it comes to collecting games, and very nostalgic as well. So collection is a bit of both, really. Hence why there's no Nintendo.
My understanding as well is a lot of our best programmers were headhunted and took over to America as well.
Yeah, I think the government screw a lot of companies over as well, mate. Tax the shit out of them. So a lot of lead programmers now in the world are actually British, from what I understand.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. But yeah,
hardly any of them are based in Britain anymore. Is the main
thing about it, isn't it?
A lot of the American powerhouses, though, I don't think it's. I would say it was the American powerhouses that came in and bulldozed their way through more so than anything else.
I think a lot of British publishers couldn't afford to buy these cartridges in 100,000 at a time. They couldn't afford it. I mean, if you think about the companies that sort of survived longest, like Ocean, they survived to like the mid-90s and bought out by a French firm. Then you had IDOS, which was, I think, Core Design merged with Domark, merged with probably somebody else. There weren't many companies left. Codemasters, one of the last ones, which were bought out by a foreign firm again. We don't really have many publishers.
They still use the Codemasters name, though. They're still going under.
Yeah, they're still going, but unfortunately, it's foreign owned. But it is British, I suppose, know-how in a lot of the games we play. Look at Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah. Well, Rockstar, yeah, but then of course they're originally DMA, of course.
Exactly.
So,
DMA.
DMA
the first
design.
DMA game I remember playing was Menace on the old ST. Menace.
That's one I ever played was Blood Money on the Amiga.
Exactly.
DMA game. So
yeah,
there you go. I'd love to do an interview with the DMA games. Psygnosis were bought by Sony. Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And also closed down by Sony as well.
They were. Well, there was Sony Liverpool, weren't they? Sony Liverpool.
That's why Addy Sneaker Freaks knows, because he's from up that way.
Yeah, he said he lived near the actual firm, I think.
Well, even where I live in Dudley, we had our own, like, you know, little independent, like, programmers. They were called Gargoyle Games.
Yeah.
They made Sweevo's World is one of the ones.
Yeah.
So
Hydrofall, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And something Norg as well. I can't think what the name of that game is. They made those games.
I think it's TNR Nog or something. I can't pronounce it. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, they were based in my hometown, and like the offices aren't there anymore. They've been ripped down, but you can go to the street where it was.
Yeah. There's not a lot of British links.
Every area like had their own.
When you play games, there's not a lot of Britishness in the games, is there? Whereas back then, there was a lot connected to what we were used to seeing, I suppose, in real life.
Yeah. Can I just say, I just seen in the chat there, Sega Zombie, I want a big shout out, respect to Scott. Love him. Love the man. I hope Scott's doing well.
Yeah, he's a good guy, Scott. I've had him on the stream, and I got him pissed up when we went to Revival. So that was my achievement for this year. That's it. That's that game.
That's it.
I knew Darren McGann would be the man who would know that game. Yeah, that was made by literally they're probably 3 miles from my house, the company Gargoyle Game. I've actually tried to look up to see if the guys still live local, but you can't find a lot out about them. Not that I'm a stalker or anything. I just wondered if they got any games I wanted to sell.
Yeah.
So, Chris, that moves us on to your YouTube story. So this could be a long one. So if anyone needs to open another beer, start now.
It's not going to be that long. It's right. Okay. Well, I obviously at that era I was getting back into gaming, so I'd started to collect for the GX4000 again, like I've already reiterated. I'd started to get systems back, and it's before I even rebought an Amstrad. But I discovered this was the point where I sort of like 2010, 2011. I discovered emulators, and I realized, oh my god, you can play like Amstrads and Spectrums and stuff on your PC. Wow, it's amazing! I didn't know you could do that. So I got into that, and then I started browsing YouTube, and I found a video by the aforementioned and very good, lovely guy, Steve Benway. and he didn't because that's when he had like all the systems behind him, and had this amazing collection of like old 8-bit and 16-bit systems, and did this bit about the GX4000. And I watched it and I thought, I've got to correct him on a few things. So even my first video was argumentative. So I sort of said, well, no, I just want to, because I know about the GX4000 and I want to sort of explain its story from my point of view. I mean, since I made that video, I've learned even more about it, which was, mind-boggling. So I stole my brother's camera. I generally did steal my brother's camera because I didn't have one at the time. And I stuck it up in my lounge, and I didn't know anything about video editing. I didn't know nothing about lighting or nothing. I sat there, and you can see by the video, I'm in the dark. You can barely hear me because I've got all the audio levels wrong. I've stuck it through Windows Movie Maker because it was the only thing that I knew was available at the time of video editing. The cheapest, freest thing you could find. And it's a terrible video, but it's me waffling about the GX4000. And then a couple of people found that video. I think Paul was one of them. That sort of like, oh, this is quite, you sort of like talking to the camera very organically. And I think it was Lawn Boy that said to me, you actually got a chemistry with the camera? I said, I don't think so. I think it's a load of rubbish. And he said, no. It's good. And so I got talking to Lawn Boy. And I went into Lawn Boy's channel. And by that point, Lawn Boy had like 4,000 subs. And he was so comfortable talking with the camera and playing Spectrum games, just pointing the camera at the TV. I thought, bloody hell, if you could do that, I could do that. I mean, that doesn't look that hard to do. Then I discovered you could capture the emulators, which I didn't know you could do before. And I found that out, and it all grew from there. I've realized this technology exists, this software exists. I could do this with this software. If I had this console, I can make that and capture that, or a DVD recorder and all this kind of stuff. And it just snowballed from there. So the first video I did after that very first GX4000 video was, I think it was a gameplay on Ski or Die. I want to say Ski or Die on the NES. And it was an NES emulator I had. I just did a voiceover on it. Took it out there, and people said, yeah, that's pretty fun. So I did it again and then named it. I thought, well, I'll use my old handle that years ago when I was doing PC Gaming, I used to use the handle Novabug, which is an amalgamation of Starbug and Nova 5 from Red Dwarf, because I'm a big Red Dwarf fan, as anybody that knows me knows. So that became my moniker, and I found this sort of like piece of discarded clip art, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I'll change the colours on that, and that can be the Novabug. Give him a pink gun. That's hilarious. Why not? And then it went from there, and it just went from there. And then I just started, and then a couple of months later, I got talking to Steve, Retro and Lim. And it's when I got started talking to Steve at Retro and Lim, then he said, oh, no, I want you to be part of the Retro and Lim thing. I said, okay, yeah, sounds great. Started doing the live streams. That was the first time I've ever done live streams with him. So I was shitting a brick when I did that. So I'd never done live stream before. And he was like, got me on front of the camera, bang, make a fool of myself, which I generally do every week. And I just carried on from there. And I thought, well, maybe I could do this idea. Maybe I could do that idea. And then I struck up on things like just making a vlog outside or whatever. And there's one I did on a bus when I was working for the buses, and people sort of like found that hilarious, and me talking in the bus. That's all I'm doing, is just talking in the bus. So it just went from there, and I've just stuck with it ever since and loved it ever since. I just found it so, like Paul says, just getting to know so many people. It's opened so many avenues where I could talk to new people, befriend people. And some of these people now that I've met while doing YouTube are some of my closest friends now. And I would have never met them if it wasn't for starting YouTube. I certainly wouldn't have all this crazy shit, around me at the moment. I had this, I think it was like 4 years into it. I didn't know Paul at the time, and he sent me a message. I think was it on Facebook, Paul? Was it? I think it was.
I can't remember, mate, to be honest. I think I might have done, yeah.
Yeah. I think you sent me a message saying, I've got a load of Amstrad games. I saw you like Amstrad. Would you like them? I went, yeah, love it. I didn't expect a box this size.
Yeah.
It was a box that size to rock up on the door, and I think, oh my God, there's over 200 games in here. 200 games, and one of them being the big box of Robocop on the Amstrad. And I thought, well, that's just insane. And I couldn't believe his generosity at the time, and I still can't now. And I thought, that's amazing. This is so incredible to know all these people and get to know all these people, and the generosity and the, you know, sort of like, so you do trades and stuff. Like you said earlier, Dan, you get to know, you can enhance your collection with different connections. And that's what I did there. So that's all, it's all become a part of it. That becomes a part of it. The community becomes a part of it. The creating new content, the getting to know new people, you know, sort of like sharing ideas, constructive criticism and all that kind of stuff. And then recently, well, I say recently now, about 2 years ago, for a laugh, I stuck when Facebook started doing the video time thing, wherever they call it, Periscope, is it something like that? FaceTime video, live streaming. I just stuck it in front of the Amstrad, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny just to start loading some of these cassettes in front of the camera? I just did it as a joke. I got like 10 people watching. I thought, what are you watching this for? Just an idiot in a loft bunging 34-year-old cassettes in a 34-year-old computer. So I thought, well, I'll do that again next week. And then I did it the next week. And then I thought, bloody hell, people are actually really enjoying this. And I started to get even to know even more people. And I was saying, oh, you've got to do that again. You've got to do that again. So I obviously gave it a theme and, you know, and everything else. And then I realized, well, I could use the laptop upstairs and put a webcam on that. That'd make it better. And so make it into a proper stream. And then it became a complete staple of the channel. And now it's probably the staple of the channel. Now is Amstrad live game testing every Saturday, which is just
I must admit,
cassettes.
I enjoy that part of your channel, Chris. As you know, I often pop in, and the interaction in the comments is usually the same group of people, but there'll be new people popping in, and it's just good fun watching you to see whether those games load or if they won't load. Like you had Big Trouble in Little China on the other week, and I completely fucking forgot about that game until I saw that case that you showed. And I knew no sooner you put it in, I thought, that's a shit game if that loads.
It did load, and it did load. Where is it? Have I got it here? Have I got it? I'm sure I've got it close by. No. I've got the last week's there. But
I'm pretty sure as well, when I first started doing YouTube, one of the very first video response I did was to one of your Friday foursomes. And I'm so glad to see that you've brought that back, and there's a whole new generation of YouTubers who are getting involved in that. That is one of my favorite things about your channel as well. I was
there. The Friday foursome was inspired by an American channel who did I can't remember the name of the channel now, but I know he's gone now. But he used to call it the Top 3 Tuesday, and I thought that's actually a pretty cool idea to do something like that. But I don't want to completely copy him, and I want to sort of take it in a more community direct way. So I thought, well, Friday foursome sounds kind of kinky. It sounds kind of naughty. You know, it's got that sort of memorable sort of oh, it's a foursome, and I can do a lot with this. You know, I can do a lot of sort of double entendres with it, and I thought that might be quite fun. So I started dropping the Friday foursomes, and then I got all these responses, and I thought, well, that's them, mate. That's really cool. And I did that. Yeah, I did that for about 14 months. Something like that. But I found it quite difficult to come up with new questions. This was the thing, to not repeat yourself. So it took I think it was 18 months. I took it off for 18 months or so. And in the beginning of this year, I was just thinking about what I want to do with the channel this year. And I'm thinking, you know what? The Friday foursome, I really enjoyed doing it. So if I could think of original questions, then I could do it again. And then I sat down, just have a bit of a brainstorm, and I thought, well, I never asked that, or I never asked that. I've got a list of about 10 questions now, so I've essentially got the whole year planned out. And I thought, well, fuck it, I'll bring it back. So I revamped all the graphics, and it's back. And the response I've had for it being back is really cool, and I'm really happy that people are happy it's back.
Yeah, I must say I was really pleased when I saw you brought that back to the channel, because it was one of the staples that I knew you for when I first started doing YouTube. So to see that back was really good. I have got a quick question for Paul from the comments. It's from Darren. It's about your Spectrum Next.
Okay, mate.
Have you dabbled with programming on your Spectrum Next yet, basically?
Oh, bloody hell. You bought one bloody off eBay. Jesus Christ. I spent about a day doing a bit of programming from the book, and a lot of it kind of came back, to be honest. It's quite complicated. So I'm not that good at maths. You need to be quite good at maths to do the basic programming. But no, it was literally like going back to the good old Spectrum programming books when I was younger. I used to really enjoy doing programming in BASIC, and I tried to make a Football Manager clone. I loved Football Manager as a kid, and I tried to do it because I think the original Football Manager is actually in BASIC, and I think I broke into it and had a look at trying to work out how it worked. But yeah, when I get some time, I would love to get back into doing a bit of that because I really loved it. I actually managed to make a game where you can actually move a character across the screen and detect when you've hit something that you shouldn't have hit and all the rest of it. I thought it was, to be honest, I really enjoyed it. I've got to be honest. But the Spectrum Next is a fantastic piece of kit. Absolutely love it.
I think it's only getting positive reviews from everyone who owns one, to be honest.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, like, everyone seems really keen. Maybe we'll have a new wave of programmers all in their later years creating some 8-bit games, maybe.
With really crap memories, yeah, bloody hell.
So
Maybe have a Novabug game on the horizon.
It's not on the Spectrum Next, it wouldn't be. But it's a love. I tell you what, the thing about the Spectrum Next, I spoke to Jim Bagley about this, and I love the idea behind it. I think the idea behind it is brilliant, and it's really it's paying homage to a legendary machine. And I will say that as an Amstrad fan, I'm not going to deny that the Spectrum has its rightful place in gaming folklore. It does.
Number one.
Eh?
So number one. Top of the pile.
If you want. Your choice. I'm not going to disagree. Yeah. But I personally, I would love to have one, but I wouldn't feel the affection for it like big Spectrum fans would. So it kind of be wasted on me to have one. Do you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, this is for the fans, really. This is for the diehard Spectrum fans, and with and I'd see that respect given to it, and that's fair play. It's like they ever decided to do a crazy thing like the Amstrad Next, which it wouldn't do. Obviously, it hasn't got that popularity on it, but it's
an amazing piece of kit. And when you turn it on, once you've updated it, and that it's like having a Spectrum 48K Plus or 128K Plus. It's got the same menu system. Even the same sound effects. It's absolutely fantastic piece of kit. I know they're doing a second Kickstarter for it, so I think that'd go down really, really well, I think.
So what would be the difference between having an original 48K and a FrameMeister?
I ain't got a clue what FrameMeister even does, mate, to be honest.
HD upscaler.
Yeah, it's not that. I think the Spectrum Next not only does it emulate, well, I don't think it emulates it, well, it kind of emulates, I suppose, the old original machines, but it also gives budding programmers the ability to make games that are, again, superior.
It's got enhanced capabilities, though, hasn't it? So it's kind of like
it's got a faster processor. So you play Outrun on the Spectrum back in the day, it's bloody slow as hell. Playing it on a Spectrum Next, cranking that speed up a bit, it makes it a bit more.
It's also got native save state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's like one of those. Yeah. So I know the idea it is. Yeah.
Yeah, cracking piece of kit.
Got a lot of add-ons, hasn't it? It's got, like, obviously the SD card add-on, isn't that, where you can put that inside? I know Ant Harper did a video on his channel because he bought the kit to do it himself rather than it being pre-made.
He got an accelerator, didn't he?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Essentially, what it does is avoid you putting them sort of retro mods on the original systems, because you got all those. You got the TZX Duinios, you've got the HXC emulator, floppy emulators, all that you can put on your Commodores, the Amstrads, the Spectrums, and that kind of stuff. But you don't need to bother with all that. The Spectrum Next does it all.
Basically,
yeah.
Has it got internet and Wi-Fi? Paul, has it got internet and Wi-Fi capability?
I've got Wi-Fi on mine. I think they all have Wi-Fi as standard. I think I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it definitely has Wi-Fi on it.
Is that how you're downloading your ROMs? Because when I was at Revival,
I had to take the SD card out of the Spectrum, stick it in a card reader, and put it in my PC.
Ah, right. See, because there's a guy who I know called Duncan Woodward. I don't know if he's in the comments here. Sometimes he's got something for one of his 8-bit computers where he can plug it in and he can download via Wi-Fi straight to the SD card.
Oh, wow.
Is it one of them, Novabug?
Now that's an M4 card that enables your Amstrad CPC to go Wi-Fi. Right there. So
right, it might have been for the Amstrad. I can't remember why he had it on, and he was showing me he said, I don't even have to take the SD card in and out. I can do it wirelessly.
Yeah, you do the same with this. So you put the SD card in there, and that's the Wi-Fi receiver there. And you once you've logged it onto a website on your PC, which is really piss easy to do, you literally can just drag the files across to that website, and it transfers it to the Amstrad.
I think those who are probably more technically minded could probably do that with the Spectrum Next as well, because that's got
It's amazing that they're still doing stuff for, like, you know, how old are these machines now? They're probably the best part of nearly 40 years old, definitely over 35, and people are still passionate enough to be creating. Like, obviously, I get to see a lot of it firsthand, being at Revival, and this year helping out with them setting up. I was getting to see all the little gadgets that they all have and stuff like that. And it's amazing that scene is still popular, because obviously a lot of these people run it as a business model, so it shows that there is still interest out there that they can do that.
The developers say that, though, and when you get the developers like on a talk, it's like they can't believe they've been invited to this talk. It's like we're talking about something we did 25 years ago, 30 years ago. They're amazed on how popular these franchises still are. And you take the Oliver twins, for example. They were so blown away how popular Dizzy still is. They brought Dizzy back and started making new games for Dizzy, because they didn't realize how popular that character was in the Spectrum and Amstrad era.
Yeah, it's a couple of Dizzy games there, mate.
Yeah, there you go. There's a good example
I've got the other one for the NES as well that they did.
There's one that I'm missing. I think there's one that I'm completely missed. There's about 3 games they brought out, isn't they?
Is that Wonderland, Paul, or was that?
I can't remember what it's called, mate. It's one in between the two.
There's Mystic World, Wonderland, and there is another one.
There's one you're missing, Paul. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
There's a Panic Dizzy, a new Panic
Mystery World.
Yeah.
Mystery World Dizzy. There it is.
You very rarely find those on eBay at all. It's so bloody hard to find.
I got that from Chris Wilkins, I believe, because he does a lot of work with obviously the Oliver Twins and Fusion books, which I keep trying to get him to do an Amstrad one. Yeah. And he goes, but he's got the little one, but I want him to do, like, you know, he's doing the big Zap annuals and everything. I want him to, I've been pestering him for ages. And he goes, but there's probably only you and Novabug who'd buy one.
Yeah, I was talking to him at Margate. Actually, I was talking to Chris at Margate, and he was talking about that and bringing it when that was due out. And of course, I already had it pre-ordered because Zypho's written in that. So I was hoping you were going to do a big annual like you did with the Ocean one, like the history of Ocean. And I'd love to see that, you know, a big one for the Amstrad.
Keep pestering him, because I've been pestering him since I stalled next to him the first year I did Revival, and all I kept talking to him about, I said, you've got all these pretty books, but if you did an Amstrad one, you'd have sold one to me by now. That's all I keep saying to him. But like you say with the developers, Chris, like, you know, John Romero was at Revival the one year, the guy who designed Doom. He was really approachable and, like, you know, surprised still people interested.
Yeah, I got the next one. Got the Spectrum one and the Amstrad one.
I've got edition 1 somewhere. I was going to get into buying them all, but it's space to put stuff. I've already got enough books that I'm not blooming reading behind me. And obviously, you mentioned Jim Bagley. Jim Bagley is one of the most nicest and approachable people I've ever met in the gaming community. And he's such a good laugh as well. And as you say, I think they're all really surprised that, like, as you say, they get asked to do all these talks and all that. Like, Jim will come up and he'll flick through my stall and he'll go, oh, that's one of the games that I programmed. Do you want me to sign it for you? And I went, yeah, get sign it. You know, he just loves it. Like, you know, he'll flick through, see what game
Midnight Resistance was one of them.
Hudson Hawk was the one he signed to mine. He did Hudson Hawk.
Very similar to Midnight Resistance, that.
It's a good game. Good game.
Paul, when he's going to sell me his copy of Lakers versus Celtics on the main road. So that will move us on nicely. Paul, as I've mentioned before, you have an expensive taste in your collection.
Yeah.
Mentioned. So talk us through some of your most expensive purchases.
Christ. That's one of them.
You don't have to tell me how much you paid, just the rarity and the expense of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go for a full set Mega Drive collection. I've got to put off it because there's so much crap on there, but I decided to pick up as many as the sort of most difficult games to find. I think the most expensive game I ever paid for was World Championship Soccer 2. which I picked up, I think, about a year ago now, maybe just over a year ago.
Is that the blue spine one? Yeah.
That's it, mate. Yeah. Again, I wasn't going to go for it. I just happened to just do it. A moment of madness, I think it is. Lakers versus Celtics. I remember picking up from a guy who he listed it. I think he listed it for like about, I can't remember what it was now. It's about $2.5 grand. He listed it for. But he had a rock and reserve on it, and I think I put an offer in, which he rejected. I'm pretty sure he relisted it again. I won the bid at around £2,000.
What?
And he didn't listen. He didn't want it. So he had a reserve on it. And then he put it up again. And I bid on it. Well, I went to bid on it and the fucker blocked me. I thought, chime in. So I used the missus's accounts. I've got about 4 eBay accounts. So I went on there and I think the auction finished up at £1 grand and 20 quid. And I won. So I offered the guy $2.5 grand for it. And I bought the game for 1,000 quid.
1,000 quid for a game.
It's mad, but it's like one of only whatever dozen copies in existence. So I mean, but I haven't said that.
About five grand now retail, doesn't he?
I think it's 3.5 last time I saw one sell. If I can find it a second.
There is only one game I would ever pay over £1,000 for.
Tell us what it is.
Chase HQ2, mate.
How did you guess?
I was about to get on for that one.
This one over here. This one I've got here, Chris. No. So that's obviously Lakers. I mean, so that was about 1,020 quid. So yeah, I mean, the guy was so greedy that the thing is, when people do that, people just don't. They lose interest, don't they? They end up buying a game which is far less than it's probably could have gone for.
Big game, I reckons it's about £8 grand now retail that game. So
retail. Yeah,
retail. But the thing is, right, you know what, Paul? You know, once you receive that game off that guy, once you'd actually physically got in your possession, I'd message him saying, "Thanks for selling it to my wife because I offered you $2.5 grand for it."
Yeah, I should have done that.
I'd have to let him know. I couldn't not let him know and watch him fucking kick himself.
Trolled him big time.
I should do that, mate. But it's just greed, isn't it? I mean, at the minute, right? There's a couple of hit squad games on eBay now, right? If you check them out, they're about 800 quid. Right, because some guys listed them. I offered the guy 250 quid for the pair. And he hasn't done hard about it. He got back to me and then never got back to me again. But what tends to happen is people put a bid in, then they put like increments in. So it goes from like 100, 200, 300, 400. When you've got people like me who are fucking insane, you try and bid it and be the top bidder. So I managed to push him up to 800 quid a little bit. So I thought I'd leave it at that, really. But yeah, someone's been really greedy with the 2 hit squad games. But a recent pickup, most recent one, which I haven't yet disclosed on Instagram, I have, is Double Dragon. So that game was never released on the Commodore 64 GS. It came up, literally going from work the other day, came up, and I offered the guy $650 for it, which he accepted. But I think there's only about 3 or 4 copies known to exist of it. It's never released.
That's very rare.
It's more obscure than Lakers, for definite. But for me, I suppose the rarest one in the collection. It's the hit squad games.
You just dropped 10 grand's worth of games.
This has dropped them, yeah. There goes a couple of grand.
Drop the shitty Renegade free, so that's not a problem. But that's the rarest game I've got in the collection, which is a CD32 version of that game. Which again, I bought this from Germany. It was up for auction for about 30 quid. I bid on it and all of a sudden disappeared. And I was like, for fuck's sake, really? I mean, I've been off this game for years. And then it came back up for €1,000. So no one bid on it. And I left it to the last minute. I bid on it. And it came up in a forum at some point about money laundering. Because, you see, that game got sold for €1,000. It must be money laundering. But it's the only box copy I've ever seen of this game. Wow. For being an Ocean nut, I mean, obviously Ocean games for me are like the big thing. Yeah. So the only one really missing, can't work it out, is Chase HQ2. And if that game comes, that will go for thousands and thousands.
It will, and I'm going to get in there before you.
I think most people, it'd be thousands of pounds. 2 known copies to exist.
Yeah.
I don't ever expect to own it. Let's be fair. Be realistic. I never expect to own it.
We need it ripped. We need it ripped.
But it is. But they won't do it, will they? But
no, they won't. No.
What baffles me with that particular game, though, is the fact I've never ever seen a loose cop.
No.
Yeah, I've seen a loose cart of Double Dragon. I've seen a loose cart or loose CDs of International Open Golf.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this game's actually a real thing or someone's taking a piss, to be honest.
It's that and Gaza 2 are very, very big mysteries when it comes to the GX, because they have existed, or there is proof of their existence, but they don't seem to ever materialize ever in the last 25 years. So how weird.
So you might have been received a review copy of it for Gaza 2, but I don't think it ever come out.
And I don't think it was
Q2 against Anomaly.
Yeah, but there would have been copies printed though. That's the thing.
Yeah, possibly.
So
you never know with eBay, do you? It might show up one day.
You don't.
Do you reckon that they just became like bankrupt stock or something and were just binned off because they were?
The thing with Chase HQ2 on the Amstrad, I think they missed the Christmas period. The GX4000 tanked after Christmas. It had a lot of advertising before Christmas, but after Christmas, it's absolutely tanked. I think they just didn't release the game.
Yeah, it was dead by April,
and I think they just kept it. And then obviously someone must have got hold of a few copies and tried to sell them.
It was.
We've got a question from Dylan, who obviously doesn't watch your channel because 100% Chrissy's games room is in his loft. It's the Bug Loft.
It's the Bug Loft. Yeah, this is the Bug Loft. Yeah, it's not really my games room. It's more the testing area and more my staging area for my waffle videos and stuff. I game all around the house. I do obviously all my Amstrad gaming I do up here when I want to have that, but a lot of the time I spend a lot of the time downstairs on the PC, and I do a lot of gaming on the PC emulator wise. Then behind me I've got all my modern consoles all set up downstairs. So my setup downstairs, I've got my PC with my back to everything else, and behind me I've got my PS4, my Wii U, and another console set up at the moment. I think I've got my PlayStation 1 set up down at the moment. So I've got that behind me. So I do a lot of it down there, a lot of it on the PC, and then all the old school stuff I do up here. So yeah.
You did say in one of your last couple of videos, didn't you, Chris? You were looking to like do the loft up and have the loft done out, made into a dormer. Am I correct?
Yeah. No, I want to get rid of these things. I want to get rid of the trusses, and then obviously expand the whole loft out and convert it into a fully fledged heated game room. Yeah, that is the plan to do. It's probably going to cost me about 32 grand to do that. So we'll see. I'm not going to be moving from this house anytime soon. I'm basically waiting until the kids piss off, and then I'm going to grow old gracefully, or ungracefully in this case. But yeah, 2 dormies out, space it all out, get it all cutted out with proper desks all the way around, and have all the machines that I've got displayed. That's the plan. So it'll look a bit like Gruss's place in a way.
Yeah. Oh, Gruss's little loft room. That's great. That used to throw me. That made me think he was taller than what he actually was as well, Gruss. Because he used to stand in his apex. I used to think, God, this guy's massive. He's not.
I can actually stand in the apex. I can stand in the apex, but if I stand up now, I'll smack my head on one of the trusses straight away. So,
yeah.
But that'll look great if you do that out, as you say. But my question about the loft is, does it get fucking hot in there in the summer and cold in there in the winter? Because my loft does. I feel sorry for you up there in the winter, that's for sure.
Yes, it does. It does. I've taken precautions when it comes to storing everything, because I know there's a variance of temperatures up here. So everything I've got is either covered completely head to tail in bubble wrap insulation, or it's in plastic containers. So it's all protected. Nothing's in like a cardboard box where it could potentially get damp or overheat. Everything's sort of like in sealed boxes. So
yeah, well, I obviously keep a lot of my stock that I sell at events in my loft or in my shed, and that's all secondary protected.
Yeah.
Anything that's already in a box, I cover with, as you say, bubble wrap.
Yeah.
And then I chuck sheets over it because I've not had a chance to get up there and fully clean out my loft, so there is dust that settles, and that I just cover them with sheets just to protect.
So I've got me monitor. I'll just move the camera actually. I'll just show you. I've got me monitors. Ooh, if I move this properly without catching everything. All right. So there's some monitors there. You can see them. They're all covered in bubble wrap. So you got the.
You've done the same as me. I've boarded so far until where it was a ball lake, and I didn't bother that.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, it's not boarded over there. So over there, you got that's the Atari ST monochrome monitor. You've got a GT65 there, and that is my CM14, which is normally the monitor that's on the desk. But at the moment, I've got the CTM 664 on the desk because I'm running the 6128 on it. And you can't run the 6128 on the CM14, so that's why that one's mothballed at the moment. So yeah, it's a treasure trove up here.
Is that an in joke? Show Lemmy the Lemming.
Oh, he's here. He's here. Lemmy the Lemming's here. Yeah, he gave it to me. Steve gave me Lemmy the Lemming.
Did he? I always worry when a comment comes up at Steve, depending on what time of night it is, because it depends how much he's had to drink by the time he's left that comment.
Yeah, but I promised him that Lemmy the Lemming would take a place on the Bugloft wall. So there you go. So Lemmy the Lemming is right there, behind me.
I bet Steve's running out of egg McMuffins, isn't he?
What's that, sorry?
I bet Steve's running out of egg McMuffins. Does he have a whole freezer full of muffins or something?
Fucking hell, I remember that. Yeah,
Christ.
Steve sends me some weird videos. There's the Pringle video that I've got on my phone where he just sent me a video of a Pringle box talking to me. I'm worried. I'm worried he's not coping with lockdown as well as everyone else.
Sound like it.
When I finish this stream, I'll have to text him and Gus Newton to check they're okay because I'm concerned for them both that they're not coping very well.
Rest assured, we're fine.
So you both mentioned it there, Chase HQ2 on the GX4000.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's both one of your passions. You're both going for the full set of it, if I'm correct, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I've got one, but it doesn't fucking work. I got one.
Notorious for not working, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's the power supply that would have damaged it. It's not the system itself. The system itself is actually very solidly built. It's
I'll tell you what I have got now. I've got a lovely
Switchblade, good game.
For one of my favourite Amstrad games, Switchblade. It's just an empty box, though.
It's a great game.
I know. I used to love playing it. I had it on tape on the.
Yeah.
It's not a big box, but it's a bigger box, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how close are you both to a complete set? Are you just after Chase HQ2, Paul?
Yeah, just Chase HQ, mate.
That's all he needs. That's all he needs. He needs one.
Yeah, I've got the light gun set, but I haven't got it boxed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I got the 2 games of full set and skeet shoot and the gun, but I haven't got it boxed.
Yeah. I need that. I haven't got that. I've missed bids on it before. Paul's lent me a copy of Skeet Shoot, but it didn't work, did it?
No, unfortunately not, no.
No. I've got a 19. I've got 19 of them. And I think the consensus is 25 would be considered a full set if you don't include Chase HQ2.
Yeah. That's about right.
Therefore, if you go by the consensus in the Amstrad community, Paul has already got a full set of 25 games.
But knowing the man Paul is, he wants that Chase HQ too.
I do as well. Yeah, but I need to catch up though because I've been unlucky on loads of bids recently. So I've been bidding for Panzer Kickboxing, which I cannot believe I still don't have. I cannot believe I still don't have Wild Streets. That comes up all the time, and every time I've been outbid, or the timing's been wrong, and I've fucked up the timing. I thought I was going to win a copy of Dick Tracy, but I got outbid right last minute. I just couldn't have the funds to match the bid because I was maxed out on I think I bid 200 for it or something. Something like that. And I still got beaten. I think it went for €221.
Dick Tracy?
Dick Tracy, yeah.
Yeah, that eluded me for ages, I think.
It's an expensive one. It's an expensive one.
eBay is a minefield at the moment now anyway because there's that many people at home here and in Europe. They've got fuck all else to do than sit and click buttons on eBay is the biggest problem.
The last time I checked, I think there's a copy of Panzer sitting on eBay at the moment for €161. I think so. I've got my eye on that. So,
Cine Steve says Chase HQ2 must be the most well-known game that can't be emulated. So what's the story behind that? The guys
no one's ever dumped the ROM, mate. No one's ever
No,
done it.
they refuse. They refuse. There has been strong efforts in the Amstrad community to contact the people that have this and to rip the game from them. And they have given them promises to say that the cart won't be damaged. Because originally you would have to break the cart, because the cart is obviously a glued cart. So you'd have to break the cart to get the chip out to rip the chip. So that would destroy obviously the original cart, which you can understand why you wouldn't want that to happen. But now technology has moved on to the point where we don't need to do that anymore. We can actually get the problem with it is getting past the security chip inside the cart. So there's a chip inside the cart called the acid chip, and no one could synthesize the acid chip up until a few years ago, where I think it was a bloke called Gerald that could simulate the acid chip, and he created the C4 CPC flash cart for the GX4000, so you can play any game on the GX4000 through a flash cart. Now we've got that ability to do that. We've said to these guys, people in the community have said to these guys, no, just we'll send you the technology to do it. You don't even have to give the cartridge to us. We'll send you what you need to do. All you got to do is plug it into something. We'll rip the code off. Bob's your uncle, but they still refuse to do it because
do you think what Cine Steve said there is the reason why they don't want to do it?
Lose the value. Yeah. Well, I would have understood that if it meant damaging the cart and potentially ruining the chip. I'd fully understand why they wouldn't want that to happen. Obviously, you wouldn't. You want some sort of. I mean, people have offered money, a lot of money for them just to rip the game code. And you know what the weird thing about this is that all it is just a plus featured enhanced version of the Spectrum port. That's all it is. And that's the weird thing. It's not even a good game.
The worrying thing is with the GX4000 cartridges, they're not very reliable. Not like a Mega Drive or a SNES. So if these guys end up in 10 years' time having two faulty carts, you're never going to see that game running.
Yeah, it's
That's
probably
the tragedy of it.
Thing is that it's probably not the EEPROM that's going to fail. It's probably going to be the acid chip that fails.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And if the acid chip fails, then the EEPROM will probably still be fine. It just needs to be put in another cart. Yeah. Or something that
they might assume it don't work and they might chuck it away.
Exactly.
I think what they're probably worried about is if the game gets out there in any form of media, it's then could be risks being pirated or someone making repros or fakes.
Well, it will be reproed. All GX4000 games, like any other game on any other system, if they're rare, will be reproed. They have been. I mean, Paul knows this. I mean, you come across fake GX4000 carts all the time. Bootleg ones that are not official releases.
That's what's probably off of Japanese shoot 'em ups. There's so many coming out of China and fake games. It just puts you off buying them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially for the value some of those games go for. It's not worth the risk.
I mean, it is a massive oddity that it's probably one of the rarest games on probably one of the most forgettable systems in the world. So it's a strange anomaly that would happen. Everyone knows about bloody, like I say, Lakers. Everyone knows about that game on, the board game on the NES, World Sports. Everyone knows about how rare they are, but because they're on massive, massive platforms. But when you get a tiny, obscure platform, one particular game happens to be one of the rarest games in the world. It's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. It certainly is one of the rarest games out there in this country anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you both luck in getting a copy, and if you get a third one...
I don't have any open getting it. I
think there's a lot of massive collectors out there who would go for that.
Yeah.
Bigger than any of us.
If I got to the point where I've got what Paul's got, I would be satisfied. I'd be satisfied with 23, to be honest. I would still like the Enforcer and like a working copy of Skeet Shoot. But they're almost as rare. Not quite, obviously, but they're very rare themselves. So yeah.
Just a quick question from Addy Sneaker Freak. Ask Mr. Bads about his hit squad, and when is his next video? How many do you need?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of
a big community at the moment.
I'm in the middle of making that video at the moment. The problem is there's some Wally brains out there who keep making videos and pushing the prices up. That's the problem. Like I said, I'm trying to bid on a couple of games at the minute, but they're flipping astronomical.
I've gone
So
for.
you're doing them on the Spectrum, aren't you? You're doing them on the Spectrum. There's a few people I know doing them on the C64, and I'm pretty sure it was a bearded man-child who's doing Amstrad. He's
he's got a tough old task there. I think there's bearded man-child. There's another guy on Instagram who's an Amstrad collector as well. So there's two doing the Amstrad that I know of. I know one's recently completed this Commodore 64 set. I know Cyber Snake 7's doing one, Jay, C64, and obviously the rest of us doing Specky.
So you're all bidding against each other. Who started this? Who's see? Because everyone calls Eddie king of the subsets. I've always known you as a bit of the subset guy with the old Oceans and now the Hit Squad. So who started this madness?
Don't know, mate. I mean, I think Eddie's a bit late to the party for that. Blimey, this 505 set. Yeah, I mean, I've been collecting Ocean games now for about 3 years. Subset wise, that's the only subset I collect for, to be honest. And a Hit Squad, I think, is recently, like about 6 months ago. So yeah, the Ocean stuff I've been doing for quite some time.
The thing about the Hit Squad ones is that they're printed on very cheap tapes, so not a lot of them work, unfortunately nowadays. I've discovered anyway.
To be fair, I don't think I've tried any of mine out, to be honest. I don't think it matters anymore. This is another question, isn't it? Do people really mind if something doesn't work anymore, especially magnetic media?
I'll throw this out there. Both myself and Ant Harper, because if you imagine when you come into 8-bit software, it's not like when I pick up SNES and I pick up 10 at a time and I can test it.
Yeah.
When you pick up 8-bit software, your minimum's probably 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just to say something doesn't load on my Amstrad, like Novabug will agree here, just because it doesn't load on my Amstrad doesn't mean it won't load on your Amstrad.
Right. That's why I have 3 systems.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen. And we've seen that. You've seen it. Yeah. Well, you've seen it. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. You've seen it on the stream, though. I'll put it on one machine, it won't load. I'll put it on another machine, it will. You know, it's bizarre like that. I'm going for an interesting one, though, because this was actually inspired by Paul's Hit Squad collection. Because I thought, that's a good idea. It's a great idea. I'd love to see it, especially a full Amstrad or Spectrum one. And then a lot of people do the Codemasters full sets as well. And a lot of them, there's a couple of games on there that are pretty difficult to get hold of, Codemasters ones. But I thought, now let's go really lowbrow. I'm going for a full alternative software collection on the Amstrad.
They're re-releases, aren't they, Chris?
Yeah, most of them are re-releases, or they're independents that have just been slapped on the tape and just chucked out there.
Right.
Because a lot of on the inlays, it will say things like, "Oh, if you've written a program in your bedroom, contact Alternative Software, and we'll publish it for you." So
Big Trouble in Little China's on Alternative label.
Well, I've got that.
Yeah. No, cool.
But yeah, I've got it. So I've got the list of alternative software releases. I don't think it might be the complete one, but I'm just going to go for it anyway. So any alternative software game that I don't have, I'm going to get it. I don't care what it is.
I'm going to throw one in the mix here for you all. Is it Kix? KIXX? They used to do budget releases, and it was like
the US Gold.
The US Gold, yeah.
Yeah, the US Gold budget release.
Yeah. I reckon someone should start that.
That's quite a tough one.
That'll be a tough one. There's lots of Kix releases.
It's nothing to do with the fact that I've got a fair few of them that I want to sell. Nothing at all to do with that.
Two on the Kickstarter.
Got the Amstrad ones I'm interested in. I don't have.
I'll have a look through. I have got a box of tapes in the shed. To be fair,
one thing that is important,
just loose tapes to play. I've got a fucking ton of them as well.
Yeah, I got lots of them as well.
I have dreams of someday finding the cases.
because of the nature of the show that I do, and I get that it's sort of like, well, whether it works or not is kind of irrelevant, but you've got the physical item. I actually want them all working just because I can say they all work. And if that means me reproing them myself, they might not be the original tape, but they will have the original case, they will have the original insert, and that's a project that I'm starting this year. With all the failed, because I've got a box over there now. I've got about 40 games in there that are the failed games, a couple of the chewed ones. And I'm currently in the process of buying a Sony portable recorder, which apparently has a REM control on it. So if you have a REM control on it, you can plug your TZX Dunio into it, and it will work. It will behave in the same manner as what the Amstrad would behave when you record onto it. So it will make the breaks in the stop code exactly in the right times. So you'll be able to repro speed locks and things like that. So you couldn't do that with a tape to tape. It wouldn't get the timing right. But if you have a REM cable, it will stop the tape at the right point to get them points correct, and you can repro the tape. So I bought a load of C30 cassettes. They're on their way at the moment, and I'm currently getting a Sony tape recorder to start reproing all the failed games, and then I'm put them back in their original sleeves and say they work now. The labour of love.
Fucking collection, mate. Got no idea. I think it's either Scott or Dave. It certainly wasn't me.
Who started it? You've just jumped on the bandwagon.
I have. Ocean, mate. It's an Ocean Link, isn't it?
I get it.
Originally, it's the first label I bought 25 years ago when I started getting into collecting, before it became a collection. Because a local newsagent used to sell Hit Squad games. So about 1994, I picked up a load of Hit Squad titles.
I was going to say, what is the reason that drew you to Ocean? Was it because they'd done a lot of movie tie-ins? Was that what tempted you to?
I think a lot of the Ocean stuff. I mean, the first Ocean game I would have played would be Hunchback on the C64. I played Rambo 2 on the Spectrum. I absolutely loved that game. But every kind of big title that came out would have been under the Ocean banner. I mean, I absolutely loved the Ocean game, especially sort of late 80s. Operation Wolf. I absolutely adored that game. Chase HQ I loved on the ST. Batman the movie. It's just they had all the biggest names. And in fact, I've been playing through a lot of ST games at the minute, trying to complete as many Ocean games as I can. And they're not quite as good as I remember them, but yeah, I think they did launch the best kinds of games. That's big. Yeah, that's the one. But yeah, they were the big. I mean, US Gold had some massive titles as well, but generally, they were shit. Thunderblade on US Gold label was absolutely well, not a bad game, but it wasn't great. Street Fighter on the Spectrum was hideous.
Terrible game.
But Ocean Software, yeah, they did generally, especially for the Spectrum, Amstrad, and Commodore 64, they did produce some fantastic games.
I was just about to say, does like when you see Ocean, you see a little bit more quality compared to probably some of the other stuff that was out at the time? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So with your collection, like obviously I sold you RoboCop 3. That was a game that was quite elusive for you at that time, wasn't it?
That's my second to last Ocean game, mate. I've got one more left to get.
Is that Tank?
Tank, yep. So I got it on the C64, and I think I got it on the Amstrad as well, actually. But the Spectrum version is an absolute bastard to get. That's the Amstrad version. But yeah, cool. Trying to find out the Spectrum. I haven't seen one since I've been recollecting again.
Is that disc or tape, Paul?
That's disc, mate. All my Ocean games on the Amstrad are disc.
Yeah, cool.
And that's even harder to collect for than the Spectrum.
They are. Yeah, they are.
Especially those like
Ocean just get big budget film titles, big arcade conversions.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. I mean, HQ would have been one of my favourite arcade games in the arcade. I mean, they released that. Operation Wolf was fantastic. Thunderbolt, Cabal, there's loads, absolutely loads.
Well, Wolf and Chase HQ are two of the best arcade conversions on the Amstrad and the Spectrum, respectively.
And Grisor, or Contra, Grisor. Brilliant game.
I was just about to say, I remember playing Chase HQ on my Amstrad with my brother, man, and incredible. That's a game I have fond memories of. Definitely.
I pulled that on the ST, and the Spectrum and Amstrad versions are much better than the ST version.
It is, yeah. I've got the ST version.
One of my favourite games ever on the Spectrum, Target Renegade. I mean, let's imagine, but it's still Ocean, isn't it? I didn't realise that. I think Ocean had 50% of US Gold as well.
They did, yeah. They had a portion of US Gold, didn't they? Yeah. You did get some good US Gold games, though. Not all of them were bad.
Nah, true. But the ones I liked were Street Fighter was dreadful.
That was dreadful. Yeah.
Street Fighter 2 was even worse.
And of course, you got some good ones on Ocean's sister label, Imagine as well.
Yeah, Imagine released mostly Konami games, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, Kung Fu was a good version, I thought.
That was brilliant. Not many great fighters on the Specky, but yeah, Kung Fu was great fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. And Akari Warriors, great on the Amstrad.
Yeah, very good. I'm not really keen on that game on the Specky. I never played the Amstrad version.
Good
Played
Commando
Victory
and
Road.
Akari Warriors. Commando and Akari Warriors are really good on the Amstrad. Really enjoyable.
Commando, that's a good game.
Yeah.
Cracking game. Cracking on the
I was going to
C64.
mention Shaolin Road as well, although that was in my Novabugs Friday Foursome. I also had that on the Amstrad. That I enjoyed that game as well back in the day.
All right. Yeah, it's all right. It's no human killing machine.
No.
What about this little puppy on the old Amstrad, eh?
Oh, I can't see it.
Final Fight.
Oh, Final Fight. Yeah, that's cool. I want that.
Didn't even realise it got a Spectrum Amstrad release.
No, Final Fight's an odd one because you wouldn't have thought it would have come to the 8-bits, but graphically it's extremely impressive. But when it suffers from the outrun. Right? Yeah, it suffers from the outrun situation. It's like it looks really good, but then when it moves and plays, it's oh dear. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, Monkey Island was published by US Gold.
Yeah, that was Cine Steve.
Yeah, they did publish the LucasArts games. I think Zach Kraken, Monkey Islands. I think the Indiana Jones all US Gold.
So,
yeah, the Indiana Jones games definitely were.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I don't mind on the Amstrad. I know it's people slate it, but I actually don't mind it. It's not too bad. I think and Golden Axe is cracking as well. Golden Axe is really good.
That's Virgin.
Yeah,
games.
Virgin. Yeah, but
that's a good game. Good music too.
It's a really good version. A good port. Some arcade games just don't port very well. It depends who was at the programming helm at the time, really, doesn't it? At the end of the day, you saw the difference between the two versions of Double Dragon. The original Melbourne House version with a load of kids programming, a load of rubbish, and then you got Applin who turns on it and turns it into a really, really good game.
Yeah, that's the version I got. I think is the Applin version. Didn't he do Double Dragon 2 as well? Didn't he?
Yes, the same thing happened. Same thing happened with Double Dragon 2. It was programmed then first of all by a load of students and stuff, and then Applin again got hold of it and turned it into what it should be. So
right.
And he demapped it as well. I think he took the graphics from the ST and then brought it back to the Amstrad.
Yeah, I completed the ST version recently, my first go. That's how easy it was.
It's not hard. No.
I was going to say it must be easy if Paul's completed it.
Exactly.
Without swearing as well.
Exactly that. Not even a single swear word, mate. I was smiling all the way through it. Yeah, it's easy.
Everyone's saying that Final Fight on the Amstrad CPC is more or less unplayable because it moves at a snail pace.
Yeah, it is.
Not to use.
It's grim.
It depends what you can compare it to. I would say it's 100% more playable than Pit Fighter. So,
Nothing like Target Renegade, though, is it?
No, of course it isn't. But Target Renegade's amazing. Apart from its music's a bit weird, but
I love it. That's a somber.
Yeah, it's well. No, I mean it goes out of tune deliberately, kind of thing. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
One of my favourite Amstrad games as well was a hit squad was Salamander. I used to spend hours playing Salamander.
Did you?
Not a good sport.
Slow, isn't it?
It's not a good sport.
It's all I knew. It's all I knew as a kid.
Yeah. I played that quite recently just to give it a go. It's good in the arcade. It's brilliant in the arcade. But
I played it at Blackpool in the arcade. But I used to play it on the Amstrad. But now I've got like the superior Famicom version, which is brilliant, and it's a lovely art as well.
Side-scrolling shooters on the Amstrad is Silkworm, X-Out, obviously R-Type 128K version, amazing. UN Squadron's pretty good, and P48 Freedom Fighter. They're probably the best side-scrolling, I'd say, horizontal side-scrolling shooters on the Amstrad.
Crossout looks amazing on the Amstrad. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it looks great. It plays really well as well. It plays really well. I love the fact it's got three-directional scrolling as well. Which it's got vertical and horizontal scrolling. So
Retro Pit Fighter is no Renegade 3.
No.
Very true. Yeah.
Renegade 3 is still more playable than Pit Fighter 2. A Pit Fire.
Renegade 3 is better than Pit Fighter, yeah.
I sat down, I think it was, someone challenged me to do a long play of Final Fight on Amstrad, and I thought, oh god, this is going to
take you 4 months, wouldn't it? Surely.
But I tell you what, when I sat down and started, when you start getting used to it, and I know it's very laggy and very slow, I know that. I started working out the timings though. I started working out, shit, if I perform that move at a certain number of seconds before that will work. And so I got through it really quite quite well. I ended up enjoying it because then I started sort of like ignoring the gameplay and saying, you know, the graphics are actually still really good. You know?
Did I get a version of this?
I can't see it. What's that?
Street Fighter.
No, Street Fighter 2.
That's a specky version, yeah. That's what
No,
that's in Final Fight.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
No.
There was a fabled story about that.
Sega Zombie says Light Force, great shooter on the Amstrad, and someone says something called.
That's a vertical shooter, Light Force.
Sonic Boom, yeah.
And someone saying Sonic Boom as well.
Sonic Boom is really good. Sonic Boom is
Light
really
Force, I think I saw an Ash 81Before channel a couple of days ago. It looked really good, actually.
My favourite vertical shooter on the Amstrad is Mission Genocide.
Never played that.
Mission Genocide is a really, really good game, and it uses a scrolling trick. I've got it. Hang on, I'm sure I've got it. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
All right, what's that? Firebird. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was really
Firebird.
So it's got an alternative name, ZTB.
Right.
And the fables, the alternative name is supposed to stand for Zap the Bastards. So, but it uses a overscan scrolling trick. So it taps into like a secret into the gate array of the Amstrad, where it produces a real smooth vertical scroll, which you think, how the hell is it doing that? Because it's so smooth. It's like Commodore hard scrolling, but it's not. It's a trick, and it's very rarely used on any Amstrad game, but it's one of the games that uses that trick. And as a result, what you get is very big, bold polygon sprites that aren't very detailed, but on the other hand, the gameplay is really frantic and it moves really well. So that's the trade-off.
What I will say with the Amstrad over the Spectrum, it was the colour palette that sold it to me. Because my brother had the Spectrum and he had a Commodore 64. But as being a lot younger than my brother, it was the colours of the Amstrad that just pinged to me. Games I used to play as well were Rainbow Island that you played the other week, Chris, on one of your videos. That was brilliant. And I used to remember playing New Zealand Story. I mean, obviously, I enjoyed that. They were a little bit more kiddified arcade games. I really enjoyed both of those on the Amstrad. But I'd have been really young when I was playing my Amstrad. Obviously, you know, so I have rose-tinted glasses of all them games sort of things.
New Zealand Story could have been done really much better. It's okay. It plays a bit sluggish, but it could have been done really well. It's got a lot of potential behind what the Amstrad could do. But on the other hand, the other game, what other game you mentioned there?
Rainbow Island.
Rainbow Island. No, Rainbow Island is brilliant. Rainbow Island is done really well on the Amstrad. Yeah.
Yeah, you were playing that the other day, and again, that's a game where the colours like just shine. Like if you were one of the people lucky enough to have a colour monitor or the modulator, those just beamed out compared to like your Spectrums, which was often quite dull compared, and obviously the C64 was even had a dull palette. So for me as a kid, it was probably under 10. They just like blew my mind.
What they lack in color, they make up massively in gameplay. Though that's the thing. Yeah. So the trade-off was speed and responsiveness. Now the trick was the Amstrad was you've got to implement that speed and responsiveness along with the great graphics. You pull that trick off, it wins. That's the thing. And Chase HQ is a great example of that trick of getting the speed, the responsiveness, and the graphics all blended in together perfectly. Final Fight.
I enjoy collecting Amstrad Ocean games because they made the effort to make most of their games better.
Yeah. Robocop is a great. Robocop.
For example, Slice by Secret Agent is more faithful to the arcade than the specky version is.
It's a shame it's dead silent though.
Yeah, exactly. But it still looks really good.
It looks good and it plays great.
Yeah.
Shinobi is another one. Shinobi plays really well. I love Shinobi. It's good.
I mean, I remember playing Gauntlet as well, but like I prefer the Master System version nowadays. But I remember playing Gauntlet on the Amstrad with my brother. Again, that was the game he used to make me fucking play on the keyboard with 28x48.
And Gauntlet 2. Gauntlet 2 on the Amstrad is brilliant. It's a really good game.
That would have been the one we played. He always used to get the key and let the fucking Black Death out to chase me.
Oh, yeah, the death thing. You can't kill him.
No, you've got to take a certain percentage off you and then he dies. Or you die first.
Or you can kill him with a potion, I think.
Magic. with the magic, yeah.
With the magic, you can kill him, yeah. But that's it.
Right, guys, tonight has absolutely flown. We're into the last 5 minutes.
Blimey,
So
yeah, isn't it?
If you watch my streams, I like to, each guest to just send a message out to everyone who's in the comments. So if Paul wants to go first.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Dana, for having us on, mate. It's been an absolute privilege. In terms of, like, obviously, stay safe and keep to the old 2 meter distance rule, because the environment I work in, people simply just ignore that anyway. So, yeah, it's really important that, obviously, we make it through this whole entire kind of pandemic, really, and come out the other end stronger and better than ever. So thank you very much for watching.
Yep, and Chris, if you've got a message and to everyone.
Yeah, well, okay. Cheers, Dana, for having me on. It's been good fun, like having a chat with yourself and Paul. It's always good to have a chat with good mates, and hopefully we can do it again at Blackpool someday. That would be good. And everyone has been listening to us waffle on, has enjoyed it and enjoyed the stories we've had to tell about retro gaming. So, and if you like us, of course, go and hit that sub button on our channels.
Yeah, well, I usually do it the next day because for some reason YouTube's taking ages to process streams. So when it finishes tomorrow, I'll put both your guys' channels in the description. So obviously anyone who doesn't sub, which I'd have thought everyone here should be sub to your channels, they can go along and sub. I want to say a massive thank you to you both for coming on my stream. I'm really humbled by it. So thank you both for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed it.
You're welcome.
Had a good time.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
I'll just drop you guys backstage while I do my outro thing, and then I'll chat to you in a sec. Thank you both again.
Cheers, guys.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
So, everybody, I can see in the chat that you've really enjoyed the little bit of 8-bit micro talking that we've done tonight, because obviously Paul and Novabug are really knowledgeable on their 8-bit stuff. 8-bits was a real small part of me, my gaming when I was younger, but my love for my Amstrad is strong and is known. So I hope you've all enjoyed that. A big thank you again to everyone who's been on the stream up until now, and to the 2 guys who've been on tonight. Thank you to everyone who's watched and supported. And also, I'll just do a little link. That's the Discord channel that we've set up for anyone in the community who wants to join, just to talk about gaming. We've got sub areas like where you can talk about limited run gaming with Dylan, where you can talk about modern gaming, retro gaming, YouTube, stuff like that. Go along, there's no charge. Me and Logic Depot or something, Legacy Depot, we're the 2 admins. We run everything. Again, I hope you've all enjoyed it. I'm not taking Wednesday off this week because my 2 guests can only do Wednesday, so I'm taking Thursday off. So again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next